Hello, I'm the Necro Critic. Superheroes. We've got to love them. Some people like Superman, some people like Wolverine. From Captain America to Static Shock to Danny Phantom, everybody has a favorite superhero. What's my favorite superhero, you ask? Well, ever since I was a little kid, my favorite superhero has always been, and will always be, Batman. But Spider-Man is my second favorite superhero.
I mean, what's not to love? He had awesome superpowers, his costume was cool, his name was spelled properly, and most importantly, he had some of the coolest villains ever.
I practically worshipped Spider-Man. So when they announced the live-action Spider-Man movie, I was fucking psyched. When I saw it May 2002, I'll be damned if it wasn't the best movie I've ever seen in my 12-year-old life. Hell, it's still one of the best movies I've ever seen.
It had an amazing story, brilliant design, great character development, spectacular action scenes, and to top it all off, a great villain. To be honest, I was never much of a fan of the Green Goblin, but the way the movie portrayed him made me love the character.
So the movie was a hit. And what does Hollywood do whenever they have a hit movie? They make a sequel.
However, unlike most hit movies, the sequel was actually good. In fact, some people say that Spider-Man 2 was so good that was actually better than the original.
I disagree. Although it was a great movie, I would go as far as to say that it was an equal to the first.
So a few years later, the trailer for the third movie premiered. Honestly, I found it rather disappointing until a certain bonus clip at the end of the trailer.
Allow me to reenact my initial reaction. This movie is fucking Venom! This is gonna be awesome! This is gonna be the best movie ever! God, was I wrong.
The movie starts off with Peter Parker watching Mary Jane perform in a Broadway play. He bumps into Harry, who is still pissed off at him.
What's with you guys, anyway?
It's complicated.
Yeah, you remember that crazy green guy that almost killed you? Well, it turns out that that was Harry's dad, and, well, we were fighting, and he accidentally killed himself, so Harry thinks I did it. It's a funny story, really.
So Peter and MJ are watching a meteor shower, when all of a sudden...
Oh my god, the Black Goose! It's a Black Goose! It's a symbiote! This is gonna be awesome! Calm down, Necro.
So Peter is biking home when all of a sudden he gets attacked by Harry, who is now the Green Goblin 2?
I'm sorry. That is not the Green Goblin. That doesn't look like a goblin. It looks more like a G.I. Joe villain than anything else. Oh well. Stupid appearances aside, I'm sure we should be ready for some hot superhero on supervillain action.
So Harry is taken to the hospital, where we learn that he lost his memories of Peter Parker being Spider-Man.
Gee, that's convenient.
Meanwhile, the police are chasing down escaped convict Flint Marko. He has a sick daughter, which means it's okay for him to commit crimes. He tries to escape to a particle physics test facility where he accidentally winds up in an experiment.
There's a change in the silicon mass.
Yeah, it's probably a bird. It'll fly away when we fire it up.
You know, you could open the windows and check before you, I don't know, kill somebody!
Luckily, instead of dying a horribly painful death, he turns into the Sandman.
This is the movie's first failing. The fact that the primary villain is the dumbest villain in Spider-Man history. Sandman. Not Green Goblin II, not Venom, Sandman. The man with the power of sand. Honestly, how can somebody with the power to control sand possibly be threatening? Moving on.
In the city, there's a crane disaster where Gwen Stacy is holding on for dear life. So Spider-Man— Wait a minute! Gwen Stacy?
Gwen Stacy, as in Spider-Man's original love interest in the comics. You know, the one that was killed by the Green Goblin before Mary Jane was ever a major character. Why? Why would she be included so late in the series? I mean, why include her in the series at all? Why? Why?
So Spider-Man saves her. Now we meet Eric Brock. Eddie Foreman.
It's Brock, sir. Edward Brock Jr. And the married.
Eddie's kind of a douche.
Little dream working with one of the greatest newspaper editors of our time.
Catch him in the act. Spider-Man with his hand in a cookie jar. Whoever brings me that photo gets a job.
You'll never get that shot.
Oh, we'll see.
Dick.
So Harry gets back from the hospital, and he and Peter are best buddies again. Meanwhile, MJ gets fired from her show. But who cares? Spider-Man's getting the key to this city.
I hope Pete's getting a shot of this.
Oh yeah, make out with some stranger while you know for a fact that your girlfriend is watching. No, she's not gonna be pissed at all.
Meanwhile, Sandman is on the loose.
Yes! Fear the power of sand! It gets stuck in your shoes, it clogs your drains. If you're truly unfortunate, he'll give you windburn! Oh, the inhumanity!
So Spider-Man fights him off, but Sandman gets away.
Where do all these guys come from?
The deranged mind of Stan Lee.
Enough said.